Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Richard's Podcast Land. And today we'll be having Sean Gurnsey that's going to be our guest for the interview. But before we get started, how are you doing today so far?
Me? I'm doing
You?
fantastic. I thought you were talking to the audience. I
Oh,
hope they're doing good.
yeah, I hope so.
I'm doing awesome.
That's very great to hear. It's such an honor to have you here in my podcast series. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I enjoy that you have taken over Splinter's lair. Uh,
Yeah,
that's amazing in your background. I love it. Mine is a little more spiky, maybe Shredder-esque. I don't know.
yeah. Well, let's hope Splinter doesn't find out that I'm using his whole house as his own podcast studio.
Yeah, just so long as you clean up after yourself, don't leave garbage, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure. I have a lot of questions to ask for you about your career and some stuff. Now, further than ado, let's get started, shall we? So
Let's
here's my
do it.
first. Yep. So here's my first question. Can you tell me like your whole experience of how you became interested in voiceover? Since where did this all started?
Yeah, so a lot of people have asked that, and I kind of fell into voiceovers. It wasn't something that I chose initially, though I say that, and thinking back to when I was a kid, I kind of always did voices as a kid. My friends and we'd play games. We'd play like Ninja Turtles, and then I would imitate a bunch of the different voices. So I always did voices. But it wasn't until I got really sick with Lyme disease, and I picked up some ticks back in 2012, and then it kind of progressed until 2017. Lyme was kind of running out of control, and I wasn't able to work anymore. And a voice over friend who he had been doing it for several years, he said, you could probably do voices from home, even though I was in a wheelchair and was having kind of like ups and downs. But he said, you can go into the studio and record, and when you're having a bad day, you just take that day off, and just kind of did that for a little bit. And initially I was just thinking, I'm going to get better at dealing with rejection. That was kind of like my initial take on voiceovers. I was like, I'll just get better with rejection because I'll do a bunch of auditions and fail them all, and I'll just be okay as a person being rejected that much. But it actually didn't take that long before I started landing jobs. I think I did 80 auditions, and then I got my first job. And then my second job ever was for Nintendo. And from that point on, it just became like a huge drive to get another job. And of course, my health started getting better kind of in tandem with it. So, yeah, it was a big change in career, but it's kind of like unlocking this childhood passion for character voices, and then just the whole industry as a whole. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Well, that's really great to hear. I'm really glad to hear your whole experience so far of how you became interested in voiceover. Like after like you told me like your whole experience, have you took any voiceover classes before you got to make your first demo reel?
No, you know what? So I have done a lot of public speaking, and I would say I would consider that like on the job training. I did a lot of speaking as a youth pastor, and I taught at a college for a while, and so a lot of my ability to speak kind of came from that. And I've always been a little dramatic. I did drama in high school, and so I didn't actually take any courses, which makes a lot of people mad because I didn't go to drama school before going and getting these big jobs for Nintendo and Nickelodeon, all these different things. Um, but I have since. I've constantly looked at this as a personal development thing. So whenever I see an opportunity to kind of take another course, I just finished an improv course over the last couple months, and trying to talk to different coaches and different things like that. So it's kind of an always evolving form for me, and to find where am I weak and where can I be strengthened, and how can I you know make it better experiences for the client and all of that kind of thing. So it's kind of like I haven't really taken I don't have a Bachelor of Arts degree or something in it. It's mostly just been on the job. Hey, I need to learn this because I don't know it, and now I know it. So that I hope that answers the question.
Well, that works for me. I mean, not every voice actor can usually afford taking classes because, some workshops and everything is really expensive to begin with.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I am in college trying to get my college degree in theater that I'm studying, and all the courses are really tough work. Like, I have to pay like almost 100 or 90 for a theater book that I have to use for my homework. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's a really good start to those that want to get into voiceover. But as always, acting comes first before you do the voice because it's not just doing the voice, it's acting that makes your character come to life. Trust me.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right. Next question. How does it feel about being the voice of Shredder, Splinter, Leatherhead, and several characters from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge?
It is amazing. It is I would say it's like the completion of a childhood dream, but it was really just kicking down the door of a whole pile of childhood dreams that I didn't realize I'd had. I remember when we were doing the recording and I did the voice of Wingnut. I was like, I remember doing this voice as a kid. And it was such a weird, it was kind of like being tickled. It was just this weird sense of joy. It's like, get ready for some winged warfare, right? Just this like silly character that lived inside of me and probably came out, we had the little toys, the little action figures, and the turtles would beat up these enemies we had, and I would do the voices back and forth, and yeah, it was so surreal because like Ninja Turtles was my life as a kid. Ninja Turtles, Transformers, um, there was the X-Men. I'm just saying, if anybody wants to hire me for those, I'd be totally okay with that. But yeah, it is a dream come true, and I just can't wait to be involved in more stuff like that. It's just amazing.
That's really awesome. It was such a surprise to have you there. And you're actually lucky because when I looked up at the behind the voice actors page, you were in the video game with the original Ninja Turtle voice actors like Rob Paulson, Barry Gordon, Cam Clark, and many others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like a little kid that got invited to sit at the big kid table. Like all of the grown-ups are at the table and I'm trying to my best to fit in and yeah, meeting some of these guys and talking to them is it's crazy because they're kind of heroes. They're heroes in the voiceover world. Rob has been one of my heroes forever. I was totally enamored with voice actors as a kid and cartoons and he was there. He was in it all of these voices that these guys did, and now like they kind of live inside of me and now I'm getting to join them at the big kid table is again just surreal and amazing for me.
that's really awesome. I mean, Rob Paulson is such a legend. Like when I first met him back in Fanboy Expo, he was so funny when I tried to shake my hand to him and he was saying, "Oh no, no, Richard, look what you've done." When I let go of the arm, his pen just fell out. But he said, "It's okay. I got it." He's really funny. I mean, he was one of the inspirations I wanted to get into voiceover when I
Mhm.
was like 14 years old. Like I tried to like impersonate him like a few of his characters like Yakko and Raphael, but back in that was like I think I was like 14 years old when I heard his voices because when I
Mhm.
tried to like impersonate them, I tried to like I think I tried to like lower my range from high pitch because I had a high pitch voice back then because whenever I try to do a deep voice, it strains my vocal cords.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I've
that
had a couple roles where I've had to like really drop down low. And and
yeah.
when you're doing those for a long period, it can be really draining on your voice. And like even Oroku Saki, right? So his voice
Yeah.
is very very much growly and in there. And even some of the high pitched ones like Krang was actually hard. Krang would be harder to do like long term, I think. If he had like a big monologue or something that he had to do, that would be harder. But thankfully, I just had sound bites where I was doing some of those. I'm trying to think what was his. You fell for my diversion, but all these different parts of your vocal chambers and things like that you've got to engage in. If they're out of shape, you're not exercising them. It can be pretty tough to get the right voice. So
Yeah, very true. Like after you got into the Ninja Turtles universe, did you ever grow up like playing the video games or the movies or the cartoons back then
yes.
when you were young? Like which one's your favorite? Like the 2000s, 1980s, or something? It could be anything.
Y- The very first, so I used to watch the cartoons way back in the 80s. I used to watch them Saturday morning cartoons, and any other time that there was something showing, if I heard that initial sound of the Ninja Turtle theme song coming on, I would run to figure out how to watch that. But then when they put out the movie, I remember watching that almost religiously. I would watch it. So I had chores when I'd get home from school, and so I would like pop in the VHS of the Ninja Turtles, and it would play in the background. And my favorite parts would come up, and I'd stop, doing my chores and just stop and watch, and then go back to doing chores, doing the dishes or whatever. So I was very much into the Ninja Turtles. I used to, back when I was a teenager, they had that, actually kind of, I think what the game is, what Shredder's Revenge is based on, that arcade style game, where you could have multiple different players all at the same stand-up arcade unit. And man, I blew so many quarters on that machine. I can't even imagine how much uh, I put in, like hundreds of dollars, I'm sure I put into that arcade. And so yeah, for me, again, the nostalgia was real. When they told me that they were doing kind of a retro throwback to the game, I was like, I'm all in. Like, take my quarters.
Well, that's really awesome. I mean, I do remember that I did play one of the Ninja Turtle arcades back in Walmart, which was free. I mean, it wasn't meant to be on sale, just for anyone to like, give a free sample of how the game works, honestly. It was a great time I had, but unfortunately, my mother always has to rush me out of the store since we had to buy stuff. And she said,
Right.
no, no arcade games today, young man. We have grocery shopping to do before we get everything set for our family dinner. Yeah.
Yep, totally, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents, my video gaming addictions were curbed by chores and parents for sure.
Yeah. That's what they are. All right. Next question. What are your hobbies when you don't do voiceover? Like, do you play sports? Do you hang out with your
Mm.
friends? Do music or anything? What you do?
Wow. So I think the one thing that I'm lacking is friends. I mean, I have a lot of friends, but we live out in the country, and so it's actually kind of hard to get connected with people. But I love the outdoors. I do hunting and fishing, kind of gearing up for bow hunting season, which is coming soon. I was a big paintball fan. That's actually how I got Lyme disease. In my other story, I was in Oklahoma and playing in one of the biggest games in the world when I did that. And I paintballed all over the place. Big paintball fan. Let's see. Of course, gaming is still a part of my life. I'm currently struggling through Elden Ring. um, what else? Yeah, I mean, I love the outdoors. Oh, musical instruments, you said. I play the drums. So I play at our church on Sundays, and I don't know. I got lots of, probably too many hobbies. I'm a cosplayer. I'm a Star Wars cosplayer. I have a Mandalorian uh, outfit. Yeah, so I have too many hobbies to be any good at any of them. It's kind of just a big spread on all of them. So yeah, I love golf, but haven't been out for a long time. So
Very fantastic to hear. I mean, you're actually lucky that you have a Mandalorian costume. I mean, I should probably get one when I go to my next Comic Con. You actually gave me a good idea right there. So, probably like next year, if there's a big con, I should dress up like that and probably get my Grogu plush to handle, like the basket that he uses. Oh, what's it
Yeah,
called?
yeah.
Oh wait, what's that thing where Grogu like he sits on? Like, is it like a little spaceship like for a baby?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I was thinking I should like create either a Splinter or a Shredder costume to go like because then I could do the voice from inside the costume. I think that, or I guess I could do Krang. I got the the bald suit that he wears around. I could be the guy and have just paint a brain on my stomach or something. But yeah, I would love to do more cosplay. That's one of the things that I have just not had time to do. I missed a con in Grand Prairie here just last weekend. Last weekend? 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's something that I've missed doing. I haven't been able to do it as much.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good idea you got there. If you ever go to a Comic Con, make sure it's not you, like actually you in person, because they may want to find out who is that person? Like, how does he even do that voice? Yeah, yep. It better be a secret to them.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Yeah.
got it. All right. Next question. What is your favorite
Okay.
cartoon or video game that you grew up playing before you got into voiceover?
Hmm. That is a good one. Hmm. There was a lot of video games that I liked. And I've played video games for so long that it spans so many different consoles and now I'm primarily a PC gamer. Um, but yeah, that's a tough one. Like I had the Sega. My buddy got the Nintendo and I got the Sega so that we could have the best of both worlds. And yeah, man. I don't know. There's so many good ones. I think I think I probably put more hours into Final Fantasy VII than I put into most other games. Um, that was a big one for me, and it still kind of lives in my brain. Some of those iconic moments, and so that was a big one. Um, hmm. Sorry, what was ask the question again so I can make
Oh,
sure I've nailed it here.
oh, like your favorite cartoon or video game? Yeah.
Yeah, I love cartoon. I was a big Spider-Man fan. I used to watch like the 70s Spider-Man. Used to watch this cartoon called Hercules, and it was like the you know the, my ring, Newton. What are you gonna do now, Herc? What are you gonna do now? And there was this like he'd put on the ring, Olympia, right, and he would fly away. And I don't know why that was such a snag for me. I just loved that cartoon. I love movies and cartoons and video games that have real heroes. I'm not a huge fan of like the anti-hero that's like I'm bad in order to be good. I like characters like Peter Parker, who is a regular person, who just has these abilities, but still all of the human flaws, like this, like human struggle, and still chooses to do good. Like that is my ideal superhero. Is somebody who rises up in spite of their own wants or needs and is selfless and does the right thing all the time. Superman is a little too much. He's just a little too invincible. Like it feels like he doesn't really have that inner struggle. So yeah, I kind of like all of those cartoons and characters. So yeah, I don't know. That hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. Well, that's very awesome. If you ever got to be casted in a Spider-Man show, you could actually do a good voice for Electro, the one that does the zapping stuff that has lots of
Yes.
thunder. You almost sound exactly like him whenever I hear your voice as Splinter or Krang. Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
awesome.
I would love to do Spider-Man villains. I actually really like villains. I find like I can connect with them and as far as the acting side, it's like with all of the villains, especially in Marvel, I feel like they give them a lot of backstory or just enough backstory to make them cracked. Like you know why they're broken and you know why they're evil. And they're all their own special kind of evil. I just finished doing actually, oh, I guess I finished it a while ago, but it just came out a couple months back, where I got to be a villain who is, he's basically merging with artificial intelligence, and and he's kind of like obsessed with this self progression thing, and you kind of you get to see a little bit of his transformation, and oh man, I love that. That is like my absolute favorite, is to play a really good bad guy. I just love it.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Hopefully, if there's a chance in the future, if God notices, he know who to choose. But we'll see.
We'll see. I'll take
Yeah.
whatever comes my way.
Yep. Which leads me to the final question. What are your dream roles that you would like to voice in the future? It could be Star Wars, DC,
Yep.
Looney Tunes,
Yep.
Demon Slayer, or anything.
Yeah, right. So at the beginning of every year, I kind of lay out like a wish list. It's kind of like my post-Christmas wish list. I'm like, okay, what would be awesome to do this year? And one of the things that's been on my list for a while is Transformers. I love the Transformers. My wife and I both. We just saw the teaser trailer for the next Transformer, the one where it's kind of like a prequel. And I was just like, oh, I just love the Transformers. And my wife said the exact same thing. And I would love to be a part of a Transformers project. I would love to be a part of a kids' cartoon series where I get to work with other people and kind of develop it as it goes. So Transformers and that. And oh, what was my third one? Hmm. Well, I guess that'll have to be a surprise. I know I've got some projects that I'm really excited that are coming out that I did get to be a part of this year. And those are, yeah, oh man. Those again are just the icing on the cake. And so even if I get to do nothing else, I'll be so content knowing that I've contributed to these projects. And that being said, I also do have high hopes for projects in the future. It's going to be fun. Like no matter what, I never know what I'm going to do next. I wake up in the morning and I come to my booth and it's like, oh, I'm going to be a radio announcer today. And then I wake up tomorrow and then I come to the booth and it's like, oh, I'm going to be a cat today. And oh, I'm going to be, like post-apocalyptic, trader or whatever. And so I love the variety. It really strokes the ADHD in me and like I say, unlocks that inner child. So I'm totally stoked to be doing what I'm doing. I don't even care. I could be like a one-liner, a one-liner in those. Oh, Star Wars. That was the other one. You mentioned it. I would
Yeah.
love Star Wars is just doing something in the Star Wars universe would be like my other big bucket list item. So Star Wars, Transformers, and a cartoon series for kids would be unbelievable.
Yep, that's really awesome. We'll see what it would happen. If
Yeah.
there's a chance, Star Wars will always be your main bucket because Star Wars is actually my big bucket that I wanted to be a part of. Like to help with the drones and stuff. I want to be like one of like the soldiers and stuff that have to take care of like Darth Vader's
Mm,
orders and
yes.
stuff. Yeah. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
totally.
Yeah.
I got to be a part of a live action thing as my Mandalorian was a character in a live action thing, which was amazing. And I got to do the voiceover for it too, which was, yeah. I mean, a small taste of the franchise, but yeah, I would love to be a part of something. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's way too much fun to not want more fun. That's the real issue. I'm addicted to it now.
Yep, it's very addicting to those who are a fan of that series.
Hmm.
All right, that is it for this episode. Thank you so much, Sean, for joining here in my podcast series. I really appreciate having you here.
Thanks again for inviting me and having me. And can I give a Larry the Cucumber send off? Would that be okay? It's like,
And remember, God made you special and he loves you very much. Goodbye.
Yep, thank you very much. And remember, stay awesome, stay positive, and stay happy for all of your fans and co stars. All right, take care, Sean.
see you guys later.
See you later. Now to clean this whole area before Splinter comes back.
It would be unwise to underestimate an old rat.